Hey everyone, welcome back to Catching Up with the Walkers. Thank you so much for stopping by and finally getting to sit down and catch up with Cassie and I. It has been a long time since we sat down, but...
Where y'all been?
Yeah, where have you been at? We've been here. Where have you been? No, it's already been a busy week and a busy day today. Cassie has had her basketball camp. So how many kids ended up coming?
We had 36 kids and participate, and then I had a dozen or more of my students help, and then I had 3 other teachers, coaches help. So 3 days, 4 hours a day of controlled chaos.
Inaugural, right? First annual?
It really wasn't chaotic. I felt it went really good. No one told me different.
36 seems like a reasonable amount of kids.
Yeah, my goal was 50. I had 42 sign up, and then 6 things came up, something happened, whatever, and they weren't able to come.
So if you know Cassie, you know basketball and coaching is her passion, and she really is a great coach, and I know those kids learned something because 2 of those kids were mine, and I asked them what they learned every day when they came home.
So we incorporated devotionals. So a senior boy gave a devotional Monday, a senior girl gave a devotional yesterday, and then I shared the gospel, the plan of salvation today. So it was a good week.
How awesome is it that our kids go to a school, not only that you can be their PE teacher and their coach, but that they get to also have the Word of God incorporated into their school, into their athletics, into everything.
It was great.
So we are super thankful that we have the opportunity for our kids to go to a Christian school. And today, I wanted to talk about 2 things. First, we want to do a Whole 30 update. You ready for that? Because what day are we on?
27?
20, 26, 27? Somewhere,
30, I hope.
Somewhere along in there. So we'll do a quick Whole 30 update. Then we want to talk about kids with cell phones and why our kids, well, one of our kids does have a cell phone, but it's not a normal type of cell phone. We want to tell you what we do for our kids. A lot of times people will tell you the problem, but they won't tell you the solution. And we think we have a solution, so we'll go over that too. So first up, Whole 30. It started off pretty good.
But that's how it was last time. I get tired of the same old thing. You start missing stuff. Also, when you're busy running here and there and with kids, and you have to eat the same thing. Thankfully, Gary has been the cook and has done amazing with that. But if it was easy, everybody would do it. So yeah, you get tired of the same old thing. You're like, ugh, I just want to eat some chips, or I just want some ranch dressing, or whatever. So
yes, it does.
Sometimes a little dramatic.
It does limit you. So that's the biggest thing. But Whole 30, I will say, I'm going to do positives first. Mm-hmm. So the positive things so far to this point, I have lost a little bit of weight. I try not to weigh, but 3 weeks in, I weighed and was down about 8 pounds.
Yeah.
So that's beneficial, and some of that could be water weight because I'm not eating as much salt, because I'm not eating as much processed foods. I don't really care. I'm not doing it for the weight loss as much as I'm doing it for the health. Second thing that I've noticed is I've had off and on, probably the last 5-10 years, some blotchy skin. So like blotchiness, just especially when it gets hot in the summertime, I get blotchiness. And I went to a dermatologist, and they gave me a pill, of course. Every doctor's answer to something is a pill. They gave me a pill, but after being on Whole 30 for a couple weeks, I noticed all the blotchiness was gone. So there's something in my diet.
The pill he's supposed to take when it gets bad or whatever, take the pill, sweat real good, and it has helped it go away. But he noticed that the blotchiness is going away just with a diet change. Yeah,
it's gone away completely, and the pill kind of helped it go away, but I didn't really care that much about whether I'm blotchy or not. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I didn't want it to get worse, and there's some long name for what it is. It's nothing serious. It's something a lot of people have, but I just noticed that it went away. So now I'm in a position, coming off of Whole 30, that I can add things back into my diet one at a time and try to isolate and figure out what it was. So, milk, grains, or sugar. Those are my 3 culprits. I'm going to try to add one back at a time and figure it out.
Yeah, and for me, I've lost some weight as well. To know exactly, I'd have to think about it. But not near as much as I did the last time I did this. But I also have been recently diagnosed with a thyroid problem. So I know keeping weight off and weight coming off and all that is not like it used to be. But I feel so much better when I'm on Whole30. As irritated as I get and how I just want a piece of candy or whatever, I do feel so much better. I don't, you know, if I cut out carbs or I cut out this or that, I'll get lightheaded, I get dizzy, and things like that, but I don't on Whole30. The other thing is, I'm not as hungry as I usually am. On just eating regular things and all things, I feel like I need to eat quite a bit. Like, what I mean by that is like every 2 or 3 hours I need something or a snack or whatever, even if I eat a big meal. But on Whole30, like I noticed during basketball camp, I haven't eaten a great breakfast every morning. I take a bar with me or some jerky, or Gary did make me sausage one morning and things. But like, I'm there for 4 hours, I'm drinking water the whole time, and at noon, I'm not starving to death like I usually am. So I have noticed that I'm not near as hungry as often.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And I'm not eating as much, but I'm eating better and quality. And probably not all the sugars really helps.
Yeah, and that's where the biggest change that I've seen is when I go grocery shopping. Because I have to shop for meats, vegetables, fruits, potatoes, sweet potatoes, and prepping. So I always have to have meat set out, ready to cook, thawed out 5 or 6 hours ahead of time if we cook our own meat. Or I have to go to the store and buy meat, which I don't like to do. So it has forced me to prep more, plan more, and cook more, which is good. It's all good things. It's just you have to be more disciplined to do it.
The problem I have, and I've always known I have it, I love sauces and dipping. I love whatever I'm eating, dipping it in something. And sauces are filled with so much junk. It's not good for you, but I like them. And so
because they taste good.
Yeah. And so that's really hard for me. Like, we're eating meat that we've raised, or we're buying quality meat, and it's good meat, but I just really need to dip it in something. And I can only dip so much in mustard, because we can use mustard.
We can eat mustard.
And we have mayo made with
avocado oil.
Avocado or whatever. It was good in the deviled eggs I made, but anyway, so I know that's one of my problems. And so this kind of always resets me. And then when I slowly add those things, I try really hard to do it in moderation, because I can very easily go through like 4 Chick-fil-A sauce packages when I go eat Chick-fil-A.
It's because it's so good.
It is so good.
I mean,
those of you that don't use Chick-fil-A sauce, I'm sorry about you.
It's the Lord's chicken and it's the Lord's sauce.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so good.
Also really like homemade ranch dressing.
That's good too.
I also love a good blue cheese dressing.
Not as good, but okay. I'm with you on it. Whatever you want to go.
So anyway, feel better. Have I lost a ton of weight? No. Do clothes fit better? Yes. Do I feel good? Yes. Do I really want certain things? Yes.
So some of you that did not start with us on this Whole30 thing, we told everybody on our channel about it, so you can go back a few videos or just research.
Some of you guys started it when we did.
Yeah.
I've had messages from you.
Yeah, you guys can let us know how you're doing down in the comments. But if you are interested in what we're talking about, just Google Whole30, and it's just basically eating things that do not have any grains, no added sugars, no artificial sugars.
No, like out of the box meal and...
Yeah, nothing processed. So everything is a whole ingredient. Almonds. We've ate a lot of cashews, almonds. We've ate a lot of fruits and vegetables.
We found some jerky that is compatible.
Yeah.
Compliant.
What's it called? Chomps?
Chomps, and then Sam's Club has one. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, and it's just grass-fed beef with no sugar in it.
Yeah.
Basically.
I made my own jerky twice, and I really liked it. The first one was venison, a roast, and I sliced it up real thin, and then we have a spice that's garlic, salt, and pepper, and that's it. And I just put that right on it. And then the other one was one of our beef roast. The venison one I thought was better, but the beef roast was good as well. But I didn't soak it in anything. I didn't marinate it overnight. I sliced it thin, put it on there, put a bunch of that seasoning on top of it, and dehydrated it, and I really liked it.
And I think that's what we're learning too, and part of doing the whole 30 reset is there's so much stuff that's added to your food that you don't even need. There's unnecessary sugars, unnecessary amounts of sodium and salts and different things that the food would taste good without it.
I love salt and I love soy sauce.
Can't blame you. So that is kind of our whole 30 update. And like I said, if you guys want to try it, lots of free info. I know there's a book we showed you that we had. Not necessary. You can get by.
There's Whole30s on Instagram and Facebook. You can Google it. You can find it a lot of places.
Yeah.
You can pull up your Walmart app or wherever you shop if they have an app, and just search Whole30, and it'll pull up food that is Whole30 approved. Just make sure it's on the package or whatever, because after so long they just start throwing you random food. But the top 10 things or whatever, it should be all Whole30 approved, is what I've noticed when I get in the Walmart app. Search Whole30, stuff pops up.
So moving past Whole30 though, in 3 or 4 days, I already prepared. I bought some coffee creamer. That's 2 ingredients, milk and sugar. So I guess the first thing that I'm gonna still cut out is carbs, because I want to have a good cup of coffee that is not that like olive oil, or not olive oil, but vegetable oil creamer, but some real creamer.
Yeah, we've been using almond milk,
and it's not the same. It is. Your coffee is pretty much just, you might as well just drink it black. It's not great.
I like black coffee, but I like a good creamer as well.
I like a little bit of cream and sugar combined, but like I said, the grain's going to be the one I'm going to go the first week without, and then I'm going to have to go a week without something else. I'm wanting to see if it's what's causing this.
Yeah.
So
don't know till you try.
So we did grow up in a little bit of a different generation when it comes to phones. Whenever, I know a generation before us, they had no cell phones.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to call somebody, you had to grab the landline. Go a couple generations back, they had the party line of the neighborhood, where you got to listen to Aunt Mildred's conversation about the gossip about the guy down the street.
Yeah.
Well, then fast forward to our generation, back to us. Our experience with phones and cell phones was, I remember when I was like maybe Mazzy Ransom's age, my mom got her very first cell phone.
Was it in a bag?
For emergencies only. And it was a bag, a phone in a bag, and it was for emergencies, so like if our car broke down. But it only worked when you got towards like the big towns. And we lived out in the middle of the country. And so I always thought it was the most pointless thing, because like you pull it out and like it wouldn't have worked in the middle of the curves in the country. But
we were also in the generation that slowly saw the phones get better and better and more options, which is good and bad. But like, people didn't get phones until they were like 16. Once you started driving, your parents, well, around here, I don't know about the big cities, but you started driving, your parents would get you a cell phone. It was just a basic cell phone. We could text then, but there wasn't, we didn't have cameras on them. And then at first, when we did, they weren't even good cameras.
It was a Nokia. My first cell phone was a Nokia, and it had the game Snake on it, which is very popular. I didn't text anybody because I didn't know how to. But all you used that phone for was to call people.
Well, and when you text, it was like ABC was on one, so if you wanted C, boom, 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 and you had C, and then the next one, you had to go through the...
It took a minute to get it figured out.
But it was basic. It was for emergencies. It was what you needed. Everyone had landlines there. There were still pay phones, but things were slowly changing. Now, most people don't have a landline. There's not pay phones. So if you don't have a cell phone and you break down or you need something, like, you're kind of out of luck. So it has gotten more and more important just because of the lack.
Well, and I think the biggest change, that was our cell phones. We got them around the time we were 16, and we got them for the purpose of we're driving now, and we're going different places. We need to call mom, call dad, tell them, hey, we're going to be home such and such time, or hey, I've got a flat tire, whatever.
The world is changing. My parents didn't want me just to break down or get a flat tire and walk to the closest house.
Well, that's what you did before.
Yeah.
If you did break down. But come 2000, I'm probably going to get it wrong, 2004 to 2006, somewhere in that time frame, the iPhone came out.
Okay.
And that changed everything. Because not only was this something to call somebody on, it went to
your computer, your
computer,
phone, your camera, your recorder, my note keeper,
a compass,
my calendar,
a measuring tape.
If I lose that thing, I don't even gotta know where to go.
But the biggest thing it did, though, was opened, whoever owned that phone and had access to it, opened them up to the internet.
Yeah. And then at some point, a generation decided it was good to give them to their small children.
Yes.
We still think that's a very bad idea. I don't think that a kid needs a smartphone before the age of 14, for sure.
I would even say possibly 16.
Yeah, but for sure before the age of 14, no child needs a smartphone. There is way too much stuff in here that a child's brain can't handle. Because someone can send you something super bad, and you can say, oh, I'm not doing that, or go tell your parents, but still you've seen it. Or you can send something that you should have never done. But also, you can do things in private that no one knows about. There's just so much out there.
Or
and
you can be preyed upon by predators, child predators.
Who you think is another 8-year-old, but it's really a 68-year-old weirdo.
Yeah, so the phones have went to such a degree and so much free access that to me, they are one of the most overlooked and dangerous things today in our society is handing a cell phone, whether it's an iPhone or Android. I'm not against all you Android users out there. You're great people too. But
I just don't understand why you use them.
Well, once you start with one, it's hard to switch over to the other. But handing a 8-year-old or a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old to me,
even a 12 or 13-year-old.
That is crazy. Like, that is completely crazy. Do not do that. If you're a grandparent and your kids are giving your grandkids phones, get the paddle out. Go down to their house and just say, all right, this one's for my grandkid. And I always whop them real hard one time and tell them they deserve it. Because
but the thing
they don't need it.
Our kids have iPods or phones that don't work that they can play games on and things like that. But it's very limited. But to have what I have all in their hand is just so dangerous. Also, kids are maturing. They're not really maturing, but they're trying to be older way too fast. They just need to be kids. Their brains can't comprehend all that. It's not safe. I'm going to sneeze.
Okay, and we also live while these kids are trying to figure everything out as they're growing up. God bless you. There are also so many things coming at them. God bless you, Gesundheit. Coming at them from every single angle, and they're trying to figure themselves out. At the same time, they're trying to compare themselves to everybody else. And the minute they get on Instagram or I don't even know what kids, Snapchat or all the different things.
It's bad enough when our kids watch YouTube that we monitor very closely and then say things about, why don't I have dimples like them, or want to do certain things or act a certain way because they see those people. We're social media people, we're influencers, whatever you want to call us. We try to do a good job of being positive, but there's so many people out there that, whether they mean to or not, it's negative things that kids see because they're comparing themselves. They want to be like that person. Everything on camera, on their profile looks perfect, but the people are really living miserable lives. But the kids don't see that, and that's hard. Even us adults do that. I want to be like so-and-so. We ain't perfect. Nobody else is perfect.
So it's trying to keep up with the Joneses kind of thing, but the problem is, used to, the Joneses were the people next door. And there were 4 of them. Yeah. And you could compare your cars.
Now you can see the Joneses across the world.
Yeah, and so you would be like, oh, I can do this or that to keep up with the Joneses. Keeping up with the Joneses is really good compared to now, where you're trying to keep up with the Kardashians or whoever. You don't want to do that.
But we have a solution because we do think it's important for kids at a certain age to have a phone in case of an emergency or to be able to use and things like that. And we have found a solution for our kids.
The solution that we do have is not something that we're just telling you about before we tried it ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're also not getting paid to tell you about this today. So Ranger is 12 years old.
And next week he's going to be 13.
Next week we're going to officially have a teenager. But when he turned 12, Cassie, what type of phone did Ranger get?
We got him a phone called a Gab phone. Thanks to the internet and a friend who had this for her kids, I found out about this phone. It is a phone that did what phones are intended to do. He can call on it, he can text on it. He can take pictures and videos, but it's limited on how he can share and what he can receive, and I can limit him even more. I have 2 different apps on my phone. That one shows me where his phone is. A lot of people are like, I don't like trackers, yada yada, but what I like is Ranger goes to a lot of camps without us. Either we drop him off and pick him up at the end of the day, or maybe he goes and stays for so many days. I want to, if someone's like, we don't know where Ranger went or whatever, I want to be able to see where he's at. We trust him sometimes to go with maybe an older friend or something that gives him a ride.
Our youth group, they go on trips.
Yeah, but there's some kids at our school that I trust to pick up Ranger, take them to the gymnasium, play basketball, bring him back home. I can get on there, and if there's some stops made that I think is questionable, then I know those things. Stuff like that. But also with the youth group, we can see, hey, he's almost home, whatever. Pretty soon he's going to be going to College of the Ozarks basketball camp and stay there 3 days without us, 2.5 hours away. Can always make sure things are good. But anyway, it's called a Gab phone. We do have a code that it's WFF, and you can save $25, but that's a code that we just have.
It's an affiliate program, so yeah. if you use that, then that tells us we sent them to you. So feel free to use it. It will save you some money.
But like Gary said, this isn't a paid promotion. They don't even know we're doing this. But Ranger turning 13, he's been asking, well, when do I get a real phone? And I'm like, son, you have a real phone. You can call, you can text, things like that. But what he wants is he sees his friends just walking around looking at YouTube or doing this or that. Social media, which it's illegal for him to even have that right now. But anyway, he sees it's a little more freedom. But the Gab phone, I can lock things down on the app. If anyone sends him cuss words, inappropriate things like bullying type things, it sends the message to me and I have to release it to him, and I can see all those things. I can make it to where he can't send or accept pictures. I can make it to where he can or can't text in like group texting. He has a group text with a bunch of his friends at school. When they're on Fortnite, they text, hey, I'm on Fortnite if anyone wants to play. I allow him to do that because I can regulate it.
So I think the biggest difference though in a Gab phone and a regular phone, other phone, is the ability to get on the internet. Mm-hmm. So the Gab phone... You
cannot, even if you have Wi-Fi, you cannot connect to the internet. Now, it has evolved a little bit, and the brand new one that they have out, there is apps that they have deemed as kid safe that you can get on your phone. There's things at school that they use to communicate or that they use to do their schoolwork on or whatever. You can get that on your phone when it's approved by them. If your school or church or somebody uses an app that you would like to be able to use on the phone, you contact them, you submit it, they review it, they see if it's kid friendly, kid safe, not going to be preyed upon, things like that, they'll allow it. But that's on the newest Gab phone. They also have a watch. It doesn't work like our iPhone watches, Apple watches or whatever. It's a device in itself. Kid pushes a button, can call you, can text you or whatever, and it's just a watch. That's kind of for younger kids who it's attached to them so they don't lose it. What I've liked is over the year of Ranger having this phone, he's learned responsibility, keeping up with it. If I call you, I expect you to answer. If I text you, I expect you to answer. When you're with your friends, I can see where you're at, making sure you're doing the right things. So it's taught responsibility.
Yeah. So without the internet, being able to call, just have a basic phone, kind of back to what that snake phone was like whenever we were kids. And when it comes time to the appropriate age. And I know some people are saying, well, you might as well teach them now.
Yeah.
Well,
and not that I 100% trust him, but I do not trust other children because I don't know what their parents are teaching them what is appropriate and what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're looking at their kid's phone, making sure they're not sending or doing inappropriate or bad things. So I'm protecting what other people could send to him. The other thing is he likes listening to music, and they have an app that you have to pay $5 more a month, I think, but it's called Gab Music. They've went through and it's kid safe. They've made sure it's good, decent music, not vulgar, all that kind of stuff. So he can listen to that, and I know that it's fine, that he's not got something in his ears that he shouldn't have.
Yeah. You can tell. Cassie is energized about this topic. So I'm letting Cassie say everything she wants to say about it.
Being a school teacher, also, we were talking about before, we're so happy our kids can go to a basketball camp in a school where we can share the gospel. The other thing is, our school, when you come to school, you got to turn your phone in. It's called the phone hotel. It used to be called phone jail, and we thought that sounded bad. So it's the phone hotel. You put it in there, and that's where it stays all day. You turn it off, you put it in there. Your parents need you, they call the school. You need your parents, you call the school. It cuts down on so many problems, so much texting, my teacher's being mean to me, yada yada, when really they just didn't turn in their work. Or, I'm sick, I want to go home. They got to actually go tell the secretary, I don't feel good, can you call my mom? So, going back to those old ways.
So, if somebody asks another kid, where's your phone at? Does that kid say, chilling at the cell phone in, or?
I don't know.
Okay.
But when we get new students, it takes a while for them to get used to it. But most of them, they may not admit it, but it's like a relief. They can just go to school. They don't have to worry about all the things. They just get to be kids. So that was one thing I was going to say is I'm excited about this current school I work at. Cell phones aren't a problem. But I have friends who teach in other settings where I can't even teach because the kids are on their cell phones or this or that, or there's problems, there's bullying or whatever. So I love that it's a safer phone. It protects them, and it keeps them from wanting to be on their phone all the time because there's not a lot to do on it.
No, it's limited. But they can still do everything that a kid needs to do. So if you are interested in a Gab phone, after you go and spank your adult child for giving your grandkid a regular phone, then make sure and help them out by sending them our code to get a Gab phone.
I will say, a lot of people have said, well, I might as well just get them a regular one because it's not any cheaper, or they're going to have to switch later. You're protecting your child for now. Whether it's a little more or a little less money-wise, it's worth it. You have to pay for the phone. You have to pay for a plan. It's not cheap, but it's not outrageous. So, there is a cost to it, but there'd be a cost to the other one. Plus, you can't hardly manage it. I know there's a lot of good apps out there that you can put on your child's phones these days, and that's great. But children are pretty smart to find ways around it. But also, I will say, I've had a lot of grandmas contact us when I've shared on social media about Ranger's phones, saying they got them for their grandkids so that they could talk to them, and it was the best thing they ever did, and they were so appreciative of it. But if you need a phone right now for your kid, with that link, you should be able to save $25. That's just the basic thing that's happening. But I will say, if you wait till August, every year they've had a back to school thing to where they give away free cell phones. One, they want kids, if parents want to be able to track their kids while they're at school, they promote that, but also they want to make sure that every kid has access to a phone in case of an emergency. So right around school time, they usually do a free phone thing or a free watch or whatever. So be looking out for that. We'll post about it. We'll tell you about it if you are interested in doing something like that.
So I will make sure and have the link, our link, down in the description, so you guys can go check it out. And again, that's called the Gab phone. But we have to go because we're up against it for time. We got to get somewhere else. So as As always, though, if you do have any prayer requests, also leave those down in the comments, and we'll be looking over those. But we want to thank you guys so much for taking some time out of your day to catch up with the walkers. We hope you have a great day, and God bless.
We love you guys.